Right then, Taco Tuesday. Not much to talk about. Got home from work at a decent time yesterday, and didn't do anything. Uh, I can't be doing that. My dad's gonna be here Saturday morning, and there's stuff to do. There's not stuff to do that's critical for him being here, but I want to get stuff done. So I got an early start this morning. Um, I'm way earlier than I need to be at work, and I only have 2 calls today. Um, they're not that far apart as far as travel, and they're not too complicated as far as work. One of them I got to put a retrofit ice maker kit in a Samsung refrigerator. And the other one is a diagnostic on a refrigerator, what I believe is the evaporator fan hitting on frost on the evaporator. So, that being what it is, I should be done in a decent time. And I'm going to get back to the house and work on some stuff. Now, when I got back here yesterday, I went out on the showroom floor and started the process of buying a bed for the guest bedroom. That is one of the things that Mia said she was going to buy for the house. But Mia's not in the picture. She's totally gone radio silent. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm going to reach out today with a text and just see if she even reads it, or if she's totally signed off the Kenny train. I've been taking her stuff down to the cabin, down to the trailer, and putting it in there because Scrunchy doesn't like seeing it at the lake house. That's one thing. And it's a lot closer for Mia to come get it at her leisure. She just needs to ask me what the code is for the lockbox, and she can get in the house and take the stuff. Yeah, it's a sad chapter, man. A lot of years with that person, off and on. 6 years, I think I've known her. And she just didn't qualify. Yeah. So, it took me 6 years to figure that out. Yeah. But anyway, Scrunch is a much better fit. So, there's that going on. With my dad coming this Saturday, I gotta figure. Now I gotta play Martha Stewart here, and I gotta figure out meals, stuff like that. What are we gonna eat? Usually in my world, I just wing it. Like, I haven't planned anything for supper tonight, and I haven't taken anything out of the freezer to thaw it out for supper. So when I get home, it's going to be well, what do I have that's fast and easy, right? I foresee a lot of cheap steaks and hamburger and things like that. Scrunch and I are not on this Mediterranean diet thing yet. We tried one thing out of that book, salmon. It was relatively simple to do. No weird exotic ingredients needed to make that happen. Salmon fillets, lemon juice, and some normal spices. Wow. It was good, mind you, but come on. Some of these recipes in this book are pretty intense and pretty interesting, and they look really good. But we haven't dove into that yet and made that an exclusive dietary pattern and habit. Yeah. Probably because we're not cohabitating, and I would have to do it for myself. And am I disciplined and regimented in everything I do? No. So, yeah. It's still mac and cheese and hamburgers for this guy. Because it's quick, easy, and fast. Yeah. But now a dad coming, I gotta figure things out here. So, I don't know. I'm not a host. I've never done this before. No. Except with girls, except with women, where they spend the night or a couple nights or whatever. I've never had a house guest for a week. I don't know how this is done. Yeah. So anyway, it's gonna be interesting, and it's stressful for me a little bit. But yeah. But I'd like to get home today and do some of the stuff I was espousing I need to get done. Yeah. So poor cat was expecting her soft food last night, her dollop of goo, and I didn't have any left. So she was greatly disappointed. And then this morning, same routine, 0600, meow, 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 and going and sitting by her dish. Literally sitting by her dish. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm all out. I don't have nothing. So as I go through the day to day, I'm thinking about stuff that I need at Menards. And I'm going to I think I'll pop in there today and get her some stuff. That's her treat. She lives for that every day. That's the highlight of her day, is her little dollop of goo. Yeah. So but anyway, I went in the showroom and I bought the cheapest mattress we have that we carry. And even then, it wasn't cheap. It's $300 something. But I don't know my final cost on it yet with my employee discount and whatnot. But they were trying to sell me a slat frame so that I didn't have to buy a box spring. And the box spring, I think, is cheaper than the slat frame. With a slat frame, you can just set the mattress on top of the frame, and there's wooden slats that go underneath to support the mattress. I have that bed in the master bedroom. That's the style that I have in there. Um, yeah, but we have a whole pile of metal bed frames back in the warehouse that are um, used, what we call haulaways. So when people come in and they buy a new bed, we sell them the package deal, the mattress, box spring, and a frame. Well, when they bring in their old bed for us to haul it away, hence the term haul away, they bring in their frame with them, not realizing I can keep the frame, save $100 or whatever they cost. So there's a big stack of these haul away frames in the back corner of the warehouse, and I'm going to grab one for free for this bed project for the guest bedroom. Yeah. I don't have any furniture in the guest bedroom. No dressers, side tables, table lamp, anything. Oops. It's the one thing most people don't think about when they buy a house. They spend all this money on a fancy house. And for the most part, if they're trading up, they don't have enough furniture to fill the new house, to outfit the rooms and whatnot. So then they spend another small fortune for furniture to furnish the house. Yeah, kind of what I'm going through. But it's a one and done kind of thing for me. Once the rooms are set up and furnished, I'm not ever changing it. No, I'm not one of these types of people that walks into a room and goes, this thing needs, except for now, because the house is brand new and I don't like anything about it. I don't walk into a room that's done, that I've created, and ever go, this room needs a complete overhaul. Let's get rid of everything and start over. Just so I can stimulate my creative energy and get a different look. However I set these rooms up, it'll be set up that way forever. Unless Scrunch moves in, cohabitates, and she has a proclivity to change things up every now and then. I'm okay with that. Yeah. That would be her project and her financing, and yeah. Like I said, she was concerned about cohabitating now that I'm the owner of the house, that she wouldn't have a say in anything. And I'm not that way. If you got an idea, throw it at me. Yeah. There's a good chance, if we're on the same page to begin with, like Mia and I were. Mia knew how a Northwoods lake house is supposed to be decorated and look. If we're on the same page to begin with, chances are your ideas are going to be received rather well. If the person has no idea what a Northwoods lake house is supposed to look like, and they want to try to make it into an institution like the previous owner did, with all the gray walls and miserable lighting, and yeah, no, there's going to be a clash. Or if they want to turn it into some Cape Cod beach house or something like, no, there's going to be a clash. But if we're starting off on the right page, it'll, I'm conciliatory. So, but Scrunch was concerned that if she did cohabitate, it would be my way or the highway. I wouldn't be receptive to her ideas. I wouldn't even want to hear them. Blah, blah. And I'm like, no, that's not how it's going to be. I want her to be happy in her environment. If she's living there, even though she doesn't own the place, if she's living there day to day, I want her to be happy in her environment as well. Right? So, yeah. What's the old saying? Happy wife, happy life. Something like that. Yeah. So, yep. Her concerns are unfounded. But, anyway. So, yeah, there's not a stitch of furniture in that spare room. So, Ian was back here, Squatch was back here cleaning out the back shop. And there's a tabletop back there. Solid wood, stained, nice looking tabletop. Just the top. That is got a very slight warp to it. You can barely see it. And it's destined for the dumpster. I'm like, I'll take it. I can pull the warp out of that. Yeah. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll take that tabletop and I'll literally make a table. And temporarily I can put that in the spare bedroom. So guests have a place to set their suitcase and, work out of their suitcase or take their clothes out of the suitcase and stack them up in piles. And you know what I mean? So there's something in there. They're not setting their stuff on the putting green carpeting that's still in there. I showed you guys that. Wow. Unreal. So that should be a project that I whip together here real quick. I can build that in an evening. Yep. Out of 2x4s, 4x4s. I can slap something together pretty quick with that. Yeah. So I might do that here. I've got those leftover timbers the round timbers that I was gonna put on the ceiling at the turd for logs. They're already stained, ready to go. They just need a top coat of polyurethane on them. Yeah, I'll use those for the legs. I've got some 2x4s. I can use that for the framing around the underside of the table. And I can whip together a table pretty quick. Yeah. So that'll be a project for one of these nights. Might even be today. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But things to do, right? Other than that, I got nothing new to report. So I guess we'll make it short and sweet. And I'll chime in if something happens. I haven't been doing my 20-mile-an-hour mushroom hunts because my mind is on other things right now. So if something jumps out at me, like a big clump of oysters or another log that's bristling with puffballs or old man's beard hanging on the side of a tree, something like that. Oh yeah. Yeah, the knife is always at the ready here, so I will stop and get that. But otherwise, I'm just cruising through the day. Yeah. So one thing I do got to do is I had Scrunch trying to find me a set of used rowboat oars on Facebook Marketplace. You know how hard that is to find? I shouldn't say it's hard to find them. But people are now taking old rowboat oars and classifying them as vintage antiques and jacking up the price. Yeah. Plus, it's not a commodity that's widely available, so the ones we do find are located down in Milwaukee. 4-hour trip one way. It's not working out so good. So I think before I roll out of town here, there's a farm and fleet store right across the street that has fishing and boating supplies. I'm going to go in there and see what they sell their oars for. And I might have to buy a brand new set from a store. And yeah, because my dad's going to be using my rowboat quite a bit. He likes that. He considers that exercise and a primitive form of aquatic travel. When I was growing up, as a wee little lad, I got a picture of me somewhere. I think I was 10 years old or 8. My dad took me on a fishing trip. Relatively local fishing trip. And it was a rowboat. He would go to a resort on this little weed-choked flowage where I caught my first little northern pike, and which he kept in the freezer, in the chest freezer, all the way until I was an adult. He wrapped it up. We didn't clean it. We didn't do nothing. He wrapped it up in tinfoil, put it in a freezer bag, and wrote on the freezer bag, Kenny's First Northern. It was about this long. And that thing sat in the bottom of that chest freezer all the way up into my 20s. When my parents finally sold the house where I grew up and moved down to Florida, my dad asked me, "Do you want the first northern you ever caught?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's been in the freezer all these years." "Yep. Do you want it for sentimental reasons?" "No." Kenny's First Northern, written in Sharpie pen on the bag. Yeah, wow. But anyway, he would go to a resort on this miserable little flowage. I can't even remember the name of it. And row us out there, and we would go to weed beds, and we'd fish for bluegills with worms and big basketball bobbers. And he had like 3 or 4 lures in a tackle box. And I caught my first northern. I think it was on a Daredevil spoon, a red, which I'm surprised that he even had that spoon because it has the word devil in it. He's that much of a religious fanatic that I'm surprised he had that spoon. But anyway, I caught a northern pike, and on my little Zebco 202 fishing rod setup that he probably bought used at a garage sale. Everything I grew up with was pretty much secondhand stuff. Yeah. They were frugal bastards. Both my parents were teachers. And, yeah. But it's always been rowboats. 4 canoes. I hate canoes because of that. Yeah. So he's all jacked up about taking my rowboat and tooling around my lake and exploring. So, okay. More power to you. But, yeah. So, I got to get some oars. I'll never use them. Nope, this purchase is straight up for Dad. The one time he comes up here. And I think these oars cost like 40 bucks a piece. So there's 80 bucks just in the wooden sticks. And then you got to spend 16 bucks for a kit that clamps onto the oar. That's the oar lock with the pin that goes into the hole so you can do this. Ugh. I have a pair up at camp. They came with the boat when I got the boat from my neighbor down the road for dirt cheap, next to nothing. I think I paid 50 bucks or 75 bucks for this boat, aluminum boat with the oars and some clamp-on seats. Yeah. But I left those oars sit out on top of the rowboat. I would invert the rowboat on the ground so it didn't fill up with water. And I just laid the oars on the top. And through the years, they rotted. Yeah. So, ugh. So I'll stop at the farm store here on the way out of town to my first call and see what they got. Yeah. Dang it. Spending money. Something I don't like doing very much. Yeah, having to dip into my savings account to do this too. Not happy. But it is what it is. So, all right, we'll talk to you soon.